Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. This edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by Pub W. Whether it is brunch, lunch, happy hour, or dinner, Pub W has it all. Visit pubw.com to find a location near you. We've gotten to Wednesday, middle of the week, as we continue to put to rest the loss against Kansas State and look ahead to TCU as the Sooners looking to get that bad taste in their mouth as they head to Fort Worth this week. And we're joined now by a veteran on the football team who stepped up and had some big plays for Oklahoma, though it wasn't a losing effort. Mr. Theo Wease joins us here tonight. Theo, thanks for the time tonight, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Man, doing all right. Doing all right. So, we're getting here to Wednesday, middle of the week. Obviously, I'm sure, still fresh on your mind, the Kansas State game. Just kind of walk me through your thoughts after going back, getting a chance to look at it, getting several days to digest it. Just kind of your thoughts from that Kansas State matchup.
Yeah, so it definitely left a bad taste in my mouth. It's probably going to leave a bad taste in my mouth until we get this dub on Saturday. But just main thing we just been preaching to the team is just, just stay together. Everything, all our goals that we set at the beginning of the season, they're still right in front of us. I've been on teams before where we lost early, still ended up in the playoffs, just with a chance to win the Natty at the end. So that was just the main thing, just, windshield mentality, stay together, and just head down, keep working.
So I do want to bring some positivity to the Kansas State discussion because I thought you played well, man. I thought you were extremely physical. I thought that you ran great routes. I thought you were open a lot of the night, but 3 catches, including the long one for the 56-yard touchdown. Walk me through what's going through your mind when that side of the field clears exactly the way y'all wanted it to, and you kind of realize, I am uncovered. I'm wide open.
So honestly, I knew I was open, but I thought it was at least a safety, like maybe 10 yards from me. So I kind of caught it and kind of hesitated looking at the field a little bit. But the first thing I saw after I turned was the end zone. So I was like, yeah, I got to get there. I got to get there. I didn't even see no white jerseys. I just had to get to the end zone.
And that was a big moment. That was a big spark. That was when you guys kind of got back into the ball game. If you don't mind, maybe just walk us through that play. What's going on? What are you thinking about the line of scrimmage? And as you said, you thought there was a safety, but what were you running? Was that like a deep over you were running across the field?
Yeah.
Kind of just walk us through what that play was and ultimately how it came so open for you guys.
Yeah, so on the 2 receiver side, it's Jalil and Marvin over there. Marvin going to bring a lot of attention regardless, whatever he's doing. He ran a double move and actually cleared out, but Jalil had the motion over. He's the top over. He's supposed to set the rub for me, and he was flying. Like, if you go pull up the clip, you can see 4 dudes actually went to him. So shout out to Jalil. He really cleared it all the way up for me. He made my job super easy.
Yeah, that is, those are for the love of the game routes, right? Where they're running to get they're running their heart out to get one of their buddies open. And that's a huge part of playing wide receiver, right? But just how are you feeling right now? Because you missed the entire season last year, right? But now staying healthy through the start of the season, like how are you feeling physically after going through basically what is kind of the first quarter of this season?
I feel good. Honestly, I feel like I've knocked off most of the rest. I definitely got I can improve a lot in a lot of ways. Just with my run after catch, I feel like I left a lot of money out there on some of my plays. But I definitely feel like I'm knocking the rest off, and I'm just glad to be back out there. I just don't take it for granted at all because I know how fast it can get taken away from me. So I just go out there, leave it all on the field every chance I get.
It's a great mentality, man. There's no question. As far as the start goes, you guys kind of came out of the blocks a little bit slow. As you've gone back and watched it, or coaches have talked with you guys, anything you guys can pinpoint as to why you guys start a little bit slow, and maybe more importantly, how you can, start faster this week here at TCU?
I would say just start with our mindset, just making sure we're in attack mode right off the rip. not we usually get into attack mode when adversity hits, and we need to learn, like, we need to start in attack mode, and it would just make everything smoother. But it's crazy because, like, when the adversity hits, it's just like everybody looks at each other and, like, we're like, all right, let's go. Like, now it's time to go, and then, we just start rolling. So yeah, that's what Lev been preaching to us all week. Just, make sure we start with that killer attack mode every time.
So you mentioned the game left a bad taste in your mouth and just a lot of self-inflicted wounds offensively, right? What has the conversation been like when it comes to addressing those things and making sure they don't happen again?
Just all the way dialed in, going back to our details and just focusing and actually taking all our practice reps like game reps, treating every situation in practice just like the game, because it really translates. Because honestly, last week we had a slow Tuesday practice, a lot of pre-snap penalties, and as you see, that carried to the game definitely. So we just reiterate that every week, make sure we go out there with the right mindset for practice. Because as long as you practice harder, the game will be easier. So that's why we just go about it.
I love that. I hate to ask, but was it cleaner this Tuesday than it was last Tuesday?
Yeah, honestly, this Tuesday practice was one of our best for sure. The whole season for sure.
That's exactly where you guys want to be. As far as outside, whether it's runs, whether it's a lot of the bubbles, different things you guys do on the perimeter, you can tell it's a point of emphasis on blocking. I remember we asked you early before the season about the blocking aspect of things. Seems like you guys are really embracing that role when called upon. Just how do you feel you and the group collectively have done from a blocking perspective to this point?
Yeah, I think we took the challenge of dominating the perimeter in just all aspects, and just outside of route running, that comes with just blocking too. Because our touch game, just little bubbles and screens is just extended run game. So we try to treat ourselves like we're a lineman. We try to go out there just with that mentality that they have, and we just move dudes around. Because honestly, majority corners really don't want to get involved. And then once you realize that they don't want to get involved in the tackle game, it just makes it so much easier to dominate them in blocks.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff's been really successful for y'all. So once you see the results, you're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep doing this because it's easy yards and it puts you guys in good situations. So, and I hate to just kind of stick on the Kansas State game because I know you're excited and getting ready for TCU, but the defense struggled, man. I mean, there's just no other way to put it, right? The defense struggled. As an offensive guy during the game when the defense is playing poorly, and I know you guys had your own issues going on offensively, but as one of the older guys on the team, do you say anything to those guys? Are there like words of encouragement for the guys on defense, or is it like, hey, I got to worry about my own stuff? Like how do you approach that?
I definitely try to get involved with the defense, just because when they're playing good, we're playing good. And we just compliment each other. After every drive, when they got scored on, I was probably like the first one on the sideline, just running out there, making sure, everybody hustled off the field, telling them keep their head up and, just keep going. We got y'all. We got y'all. Just one stop. We got y'all. It's not y'all. Like, just normal talk just to keep my buddies up, just simple stuff like that. Just making sure that they don't get down on themselves because they're not playing as well as they used to, or just little stuff like that.
That's great. That's great perspective, and it's appreciated from defenders for sure. Now, you guys scored 34. You put up 550 yards of offense. I think it was 330 through the air, 220 on the ground, which statistically that's an outstanding game. But
no turnovers.
Yeah, no turnovers. Am I crazy to think that you guys still left quite a bit out there? Like it still felt like, though you guys played good, it seemed like against a good Kansas State defense, there could have been even more. Is that fair?
That's 100% fair. We left a lot of money out there, definitely.
That's always the worst. You go back and you watch and you're like, oh my gosh, we should have scored 40, 8 after watching it. So I'm sure that, what was that discussion like? Because I know you guys meet as a full offense, right? As you went through it, was it just one of those guys we can, is it kind of a sense that you guys are really about to take off as an offense after watching that?
Yeah, honestly, it's not such a good feeling, but like you can just see just how close we are to just making that next step, and it's honestly a good feeling because everybody in the on the offensive unit just like we all see it together, and we all know what we're capable of, and it just makes us go harder, honestly, so we can make the layups next time we get a chance because that's all it is. We just got to make the layups because we left a lot of layups out there for sure.
Gabe, I know that you had a chance to talk with Coach Washington earlier this week, and I'll kind of throw it to you, but kind of your takeaway or anything that you took away from that interview with Coach Washington that you might have had for Theo.
Yeah, first of all, LaDamian Washington, we're the same age, which is which is pretty interesting. So it was fun to get to talk to him. Theo, what has the experience been like for you since he took over in that wide receiver room?
It's like he's a big brother, father figure, like all in one. Like he's so young, so that's the big brother like aspect of it. But then just how much knowledge and just game he puts us on is just like it's like he's 50 years old and he's been coaching for like 20 years. So like that's where the father part comes from. But we all love Coach Washington like 100%. He rides for his guys all the time, and he always just keeps it real with us.
So one of the things he said that I thought was really interesting was that things are very collaborative in the wide receiver room. Like he's talking to you and Marvin and Drake about what y'all like, how you like to do certain things. Like how cool is that for you guys having that much input as players?
Yeah, it's great. Being just in a receiver friendly offense like that is it's wonderful because like you just get to do the things that you're really good at and do them all the time. So you just master them, and it just comes easy. And that just brings me back to the layups. Like it might not look layups to the outside, but just we do it every day in and day out. It turns into layups, and it just builds confidence for the whole room.
I know Gabe, he mentioned Jalil's and Theo's relationship. Sounds like, based off what Coach Washington had told Gabe, that you've really taken him under your wing. Maybe expound upon that. What's your relationship like with Jalil?
Yeah, that's my dog. I see so much. I see he has that dog in him already, and I see that, and I just want to make sure I just bring that out of him every time because football is just a game of development, and I just want to make sure that he's just out there just playing hard every chance he gets till it just becomes natural, and he's been doing that as you see, like from the first game to this last game, like you can see he's just increasing, just slowly getting better. He just been keeping his head down. He's just been working. I mean, I'm excited for him.
Yeah, you see Theo becomes a dad and now you just view things differently, right?
Look at
You
him.
see another guy and you're like, I'm gonna get the most out of him. I'm gonna get the most out of him.
Yeah, that's my inner coach. My inner coach coming out.
Yeah.
I love that, man. All right, like let's put that to bed. I mean, that happened. You can't erase it, but you can get better from it and move forward. And TCU this week. And look, man, TCU's 3-0. They're playing good football. They're going to have a lot of confidence. They're at home in Fort Worth. I would imagine it's going to be a lively crowd as they kick off Big 12 this coming weekend. So as you've watched the film so far, I know Hodges Tomlinson is a really good corner on one side, but as you pop the film in, no more Gary Patterson. But what do you see from that Frogs defense?
I see a lot of the deep three safety looks. I do see that they don't get a line fast enough, so I think they're gonna have trouble with our tempo a little bit. I also saw that they like to run man coverage a lot, so I feel like the wideouts we're gonna have a good day on Saturday. I'm calling it now because I feel like can nobody guard any of us in the room. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for Saturday.
When you look at kind of the style of defense that they've played, because I've been able to watch them a lot over the last couple of days, it's a very vanilla version of the 3-3-5, right? Yeah. And one thing they mix that man coverage, but there's no doubt they want to limit big plays in the passing game, right? That's kind of the whole purpose of this defensive structure.
Yeah.
When you guys see a defense playing that, do you take it like as a personal challenge as a wide receiver? Like, no, we're gonna find big plays.
Yeah, no doubt. Like we want to attack like what they're trying to stop. Like we know they're trying to stop the ball from getting down the field, so we're going to attack that. We're going to make y'all stop it somehow, some way. So and honestly, like me personally, I'm not a fan of the three safety look. Like I feel like it's just extra. Like like they're just out there just trying to do something, just trying to confuse us. But like I'm actually a fan. I like playing against it because I feel like it's way people make it more complicated than it is. Once you actually just break it down, the looks and just what the bandit is doing, just every play, how he's really supposed to be in the run fits, I like it as a wideout, honestly.
And when you say that bandit for people at home, that's that center safety,
Yeah,
right? And
the
when that
middle
three
safety.
across the board, that middle of the field safety that it kind of hides behind those backers in the run fit, right? And he's kind of that alley player that can come down. It's tough to identify. You mentioned all the man coverage, and I could tell you getting fired up about that. What's the key to having success against man-to-man coverage?
You got to win at the line of scrimmage. You got to win at your release, and you got to make sure you're being physical at the release point too. Because these guys, both of them, honestly, they're gonna let you release either way. You know, I've already been watching my film. They're gonna let you release either way, and they're just gonna try to put two hands on you and just try to hold you and just play underneath technique kinda. But if you beat them bad at the line from the start, then they're in panic mode, and that's when they get their pass interference called and just little stuff like that. So I'm just making sure that's what I've been working on so far this week, just emphasizing my releases, just making sure I win at that part, and then I'll handle the route after.
I like it. I like what I'm hearing. Now, there was something interesting. So Dylan Gabriel, he said he's a bad loser, right? And I think a lot of us, I assume you're a bad loser. Dusty, I know you are a bad loser.
I'm a bad
I am
loser.
an awful
Terrible
loser. It's just kind of how athletes are wired, right?
Yeah.
But what has Dylan Gabriel been like this week, like during practice? Because I feel like, I don't know, he seemed a little fiery early in the week.
Yeah, honestly, he's already been that leader, but like I feel like he just took another step. Like he's just way more vocal. You know, just making sure everybody's just doing the little details right. As small as just making sure you get all the way off the field when you jogging off from just period to period. So I feel like not a wake up call, but I can tell that it's something inside of him. Like he don't want to feel that again, and it just feeds off on all of us.
So before we get to some fan questions, you had mentioned something earlier. You said you've been a part of teams where you lost early and you came back and you won a conference championship and you guys have even made a playoff. What's wild is that 2 years ago, you guys lost the Big 12 opener against Kansas State in that same stadium. What did it take? Like, or how did you guys flip it and turn it and go from that, losing your first Big 12 game, to then making that run? You won a Big 12 championship, and by the end of the year, put them dubs on Florida. And most people, myself included, felt like you're one of the four best teams in college football. So, a two-parter here. What enabled you guys to turn it around? And then B, how beneficial is that you, Braden, several of the guys have – it's not just you're saying it, you've actually lived it, and it is still attainable and possible to achieve all your goals.
Yeah, so we made that decision as a team literally 5 minutes walking into the locker room right after the game. Like before BV even got in there to talk to us, like, JB and Braden, they called us up and like they just let the team know like this can't break us. Like we were all here in 2019 when we lost to K-State early in the year and still went to the playoffs. The next year we lost to them again at home, same situation. Didn't lose a game after. So we just emphasized like this is only gonna make us stronger. Like this adversity is only gonna make us great, and we're gonna grow from it. And we just have to trust it. And it honestly, for like young guys that like they could think like we're just talking, and it's just talk, but like we actually lived it. So like they have to believe it, like and they have to trust it, and they do, no doubt. Like the young guys definitely trust the leaders because like we're leading them in the right direction for sure.
That's great stuff, man. Absolutely love that.
It's funny because on the field after the game, I talked to Braden about it. I was like, hey, in 2012, lost to Kansas State at home, and guess what we did? Went and won a Big 12 championship. And you guys have done so. It's interesting that though you guys having that experience, it's really, really valuable for you to be able to relay that message to the young guys. And those guys better be absorbing that because and I know that with how strong the leadership is on the team that they are.
No question. Well, Kansas State got all of our numbers. Got me in 03.
Kansas State, man.
Man, what the heck, man? Dang, purple Wildcats, those sons of guns. I'll tell you what, though, hats off to them. They're a good football team. Yeah. They're tough, they're hard-nosed, and you got to give credit where credit's due sometime. All right, fan questions brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Taylor Smith asks, my brother always comes up with really bad nicknames for players. Oh, boy. Thoughts on the nickname, the Weasel?
I mean,
you can be honest, man. You can be honest.
Theo,
you can say you hate it.
Theo, the Weasel Wease. How's that feel?
I'm not a fan of it because honestly, some of my teammates, when they're making jokes about me, they will use that. So like, I can't go for that one as a nickname.
I'm just trying to imagine like that touchdown you caught against K-State and everyone on the sideline just go Weasel, go.
No,
it
doesn't feel right, man.
No, I can't.
Do you have a nickname? Do you have one that you like that you're kind of appreciate? You go by?
Everybody just calls me 10. Like I guess I just embrace that one. They rarely call me Theo. It's 10. That's it.
10 Weasel.
Yeah, clear.
But remember, it's the Weasel.
Oh, sorry. Even worse. Even worse.
So
the Weasel. No good. What else we got, Gabe?
Well, Taylor Smith was right. His brother does come up with horrible nicknames.
Awful. Very bad.
I'm going to start calling you the Weasel and see if you respond on the sideline. This is going to be fun. All right, this last one, Theo, comes from Scott Martin, who says, Theo, your inability to be tackled easy is very impressive. What do you think contributes most to being very difficult to tackle?
I would say my mindset. I know that the first person, I can't let them tackle me. So like, it's just, I don't know. I've been that way since I was little. Like, I don't know. I always got to make the first person miss because I feel like once you make the first person miss, maybe you get a team that's not high effort. There won't be nobody left. So I just feel like you make that first one miss and you got something to work with.
I would guess size doesn't hurt either. I mean, you're a big, long dude. I mean, that's got to help a little bit too when some of them little corners try to tackle you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Smitty got me right this offseason, honestly. Like, I've been running through some tackles that, like, I didn't even know that I was running through a tackle almost. Like, I'm just running, just head down, just moving. And I'm just running through arm tackles and just, just stuff like that. Yeah, Smitty got me right. Shout out my dog.
The Weasel is breaking tackles left and right.
Man, I'm sorry, Theo. 10, I ain't gonna let him do you like that, man. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna stomp that out and put it into it right here, right now. Man, look, we've been there. Losing sucks. We don't like it, but the key is to get better from it. It sounds like you've got a great attitude, a great mindset that you're sharing with the football team. So the only way to get that foul taste out of your mouth, which is to go out there and play better. So we'll let you go, and best of luck this week, man. We appreciate you joining us and sharing all that you did with us tonight. And go dominate, go get after them in Fort Worth. And we look forward to talking to you again next month.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. There you go. Big thanks to our guy, Theo Wease, and we will not call him the Weasel. Great for him to join us. And now it's time for my man Gabe and I to break it down. All right, it's time to break it down, and the breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. Really enjoyed our conversation with Theo. Look, man, I mean, you could say it over and over. And, hopefully fans that are watching, look, everybody hates to lose. I know the fans are disappointed. I know the fans are upset. So are the players. So are the coaches. So are the former players. But I can honestly say I've been there. So I know exactly how they feel. And nobody is more disappointed, more upset than those guys. Now, as we kind of said the other day with Key, the most important thing is how do you respond? And it's not getting mad, it's not being upset, it's getting work done during the week, right? It's going out there and practicing. I love that he said they had a great Tuesday practice because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a week of quality practice and preparation mentally, physically, and being able to go to TCU and executing, let's face it, against a good football team. So, and I really appreciate what feels like good veteran leadership on this team, Gabe. And those guys can speak from experience. When you've been in this spot and you've showed resolve and you've showed character and you've bounced back and you've actually gone through this exact situation and found a way to come out, on top on the other side. When you talk to transfers and when you're trying to lead young players, that's different. It carries weight. I think it's real. So I think the fact that these guys, not once, but twice, can pull from very similar experiences and share and talk about what it took to overcome that and become a better team throughout the course of the season and still achieve your goals, I think it's extremely important and gives me even more belief that this team can respond in a very positive way.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And you got to remember how many new players there are in this program. It's like 50 guys, right, that were new to the program this season. So that is, they probably weren't expecting to lose to Kansas State at home, but you've got veteran guys that have been through the battles, that have been able to work through it before and come out the other side as a Big 12 champ and, playing in the college football playoff. So it's great to have that veteran leadership, but man, you're right. Things get corrected. There's not just some magic potion, right? You correct things on the practice field and in the meeting room. And these guys aren't going to get, there's not going to be wholesale lineup changes or anything like that. Like, your starters are your starters, right? Your two deeps, you're too deep for a reason. Now maybe you move some guys around or something like that, but it's about putting the work in and preparing the right way. And sometimes a loss, as bad as it sucks, like, it can be a good thing for a football team.
Wake up call.
And I'm hoping that performance, especially defensively against Kansas State for Oklahoma, is that wake up call. We'll see, man. But we'll see, because you're right. As we start to look ahead to TCU on Saturday, that's a good football team.
Yep.
It's a good football team with a lot of speed on offense and defense, lot of speed.
Especially at wide receiver, right? Darius Davis, Tay Barber, Quentin Johnston. I'm a little surprised. I don't know about you, but I would have thought he'd be even more involved than what he's been to this point. And that's not to say that he can't start this week, because the dude, a lot of the receivers are smaller. Barber, who I mentioned, Davis, who I mentioned, smaller, quick twitch burners. And Johnson's more of a 6'4", big-bodied receiver that can use that body and go up and get the football. So they've got a pretty good collection of weapons. DeMercado and Miller, both good, solid running backs. I'm expecting Max Duggan. Chandler Morris won the starting job. He started against Colorado and he got banged up. And interestingly enough, Max Duggan has turned around and in the last two games probably put together the best 2-game stretch of his career. I think he's completing over 77% of his passes. He's averaging well over 300 yards a game. Hasn't turned the ball over much at all, which have all been issues for him. So my gut tells me it's Max Duggan. And, he's a guy that.
Yeah, I talked to Sonny Dykes today for
great.
our Big 12 show on Sirius XM. He said Duggan's going to start.
Figured that would be the case.
Yeah.
And he can run. Like, that's the other aspect of this is like, you know, just like they dealt with last week, this is a guy that's got great toughness and very good mobility. So a lot of the same things I would imagine that Oklahoma defensively struggle with, they'll be tested on again this week. Again, I don't know if we'll see as much design quarterback run within this offense, but if you think Max Duggan at some point, if the pass rush, if there's seams and holes that open up along that pass rush, best believe he's going to tuck it and run and get what he can get. So it's going to be a real challenge for them defensively. Going to Theo and talking about their defense. Joe Gillespie came in and did a great job at Tulsa, who people here in the state know very well. And I know talking to Sonny previously, he thinks that he's one of the bright young defensive coordinators in college football. What jumps out at you about this TCU defense as you've had a chance to watch them this week?
They have kept things very simple for their guys, right? Not a lot of moving parts. They switch some things up coverage wise. Like Theo said, they'll jump in and play some cover one, challenge wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. It's not an elaborate pressure package that they bring, right? They'll blitz the inside backers. They'll bring two on the outside. Like, it's not overly complicated. And I think the reason that they do that is they're installing a new system. They don't exactly have the body types for that system quite yet.
Right.
And I think they've just kept it really simple for them to allow them to play fast. Right. You hear that all the time, right? Hey, let's keep things simple and allow our guys to play fast. And that's what they've done. And they just don't jump off the tape.
Right.
Really. They really don't. Now, their defensive front, they're starting a true freshman at nose guard, which is tough duty. So Oklahoma needs to they need to handle that guy. Now, he's a big true freshman. He's like 6'2", 320. Like, he's a big dude. But their defensive ends, very physical at the point of attack. In fact, so physical that it seems like they're more concerned with knocking the hell out of the people in front of them as opposed to getting off those blocks and then making plays. But I think that especially the Horton guy, 98, he's a really good athlete. Not a ton of production, but you can tell he's a really good athlete. But I guess the strength is probably the back end of the defense.
I think so, yes.
You look at it now, they've had some guys transfer in, fill some holes, but got a couple good corners. I'm just
D. Winters a good linebacker. D. Winters can run well. I mean, he's a guy that's been around for a while. Nice player.
He's kind of playing that hybrid position for him, right? Kind of out in space, but also as a linebacker. And I think Oklahoma can have a big day offensively against them. And there's one main reason why. They struggle to rush the passer.
Yep. Big time.
Their three down linemen, they do not have a plethora of pass rush moves. It's pretty much try to bull the tackle straight back. And that while they're physical and they're like, I get it, they have not put a ton of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And if there's one thing I've learned about Dylan Gabriel, normally if he's got a clean pocket, he can pick a defense apart, especially with how the wide receivers are playing for Oklahoma right now. So I think that, it's a well-coached group. There's no doubt about it for TCU defensively. But if they can't affect Dylan in the pocket, then it should be a big day, especially throwing the football.
Totally agree. And one thing, Dylan's misfired on some, a couple of passes, he wishes he could have back, right? I mean, most notably, I think about one, if not two, to Drake Stoops that you just kind of like, if you could have a couple of those throws back, maybe it's a different game. And even going back to the game at Nebraska, missed high a couple of times. So he traditionally has been a guy who's been very accurate. I'm hopeful that he can start to dial in that accuracy. And when those shots are there, he's able to connect on them because there's a couple that he wishes he could have back. And if he's able to clean that up a little bit, I agree. I think they can really make this TCU secondary pay coming up on Saturday. One thing I will say, though, he's done a nice job taking care of the football. It is one thing, like turnovers are way down for this offense, which is always a good thing. And it does feel like if they're unable to pressure him, he should have an opportunity to have a really big day. And I like where Theo's at. I like where Marvin's at. I like where several of these wide receivers are. I think that catch in particular is big for Theo, just from a confidence standpoint. He's been running good routes, and I'm hopeful that collection of guys can really take advantage and have a big day on Saturday.
No doubt, and they're going to need to, because TCU's offense, now we're hoping a better version of Oklahoma's defense shows up, right, than what we saw against Kansas State. But TCU, if they can just kind of neutralize, not even win the battle at the line of scrimmage with that offensive line, that's been their big issue in the recent past. Their offensive line hadn't been any good. If they can control things against Oklahoma's defensive line, they got some guys that can fly.
Speed.
I mean, can absolutely fly. And Kendre Miller is a big physical back.
Yep.
So, I mean, the battle up front, that's going to be the key for Oklahoma's defense. But TCU's offense, they're going to move the football, man. So OU's offense, they're going to have to produce. They're going to need to score a lot of points in this game. And TCU just found out, man, sold out.
Yep.
Sold out. And that place is traditionally not a difficult place to play, but it sounds like it's about to be as difficult as it's been in a long, long time.
Amon G. Carter, is that?
Amon G. Carter Stadium.
I will say this. It is, when it is packed, because I've been there when it's packed, it can get loud. The way it's constructed, the way it's built, it's a smaller stadium.
The way they pump artificial crowd noise in?
Definitely do that as well. So, it'll be a hostile environment, and it'll be a test for Oklahoma. And again, as we said Monday, I'll say it again on Friday, this is going to test Oklahoma. How do they respond to this challenge? Because it will be a challenge to go into Fort Worth and come away with a victory. All right, enough for this episode of Strengthening Oklahoma. And a big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And as always, thanks to you guys, our subscribers. Man, you mean so much. We appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.